this is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast.
We must learn to fight to protect what we love. Someone who fights for nothing loves nothing. It's an essential tool to learn in the developmental stages of life. We fight hard to strengthen our bodies. In turn, the preparation and training strengthens our mind. Rarely will you see somebody confident in their combat skills be the aggressor in any confrontation. They always know that at any moment they can unleash the beast that they've worked so hard to chain. A strong fist equals a strong mind. Missing one component leaves you unbalanced and vulnerable. As the Chinese proverb says, it's better to be a warrior in the garden than a gardener in a war. I'm Kevin Donaldson here with Mike Failace, and on this episode of the Suffering Podcast, we sit down with Butch Sanchez to discuss the suffering of a boxing trainer. Butch has fought his entire life, but now has a new fight on his hand, and in studio, the Benny Love, who I've been following for quite some time, just so you know.
It's champion Benny Love.
Champion Benny Love?
Champion Benny Love.
Well, Butch has been so kind to bring the what is this?
Every boxer's a champion, right? Whenever you see a boxer, you call him, hey, champ.
That's right.
Is this the middleweight?
Welterweight.
Welterweight. We're gonna discuss all that stuff. Before we get into it, let's throw a big shout out to Toyota of Hackensack. We buy our cars from Toyota because we don't trust anybody. So go to toyotaofhackensack.com. Let them find you a car. So Butch, thank you so much for joining us today. We've heard so much about you. Of course, our connection is through Mike DePalma. Of course, every connection.
So here we go, Hoboken again.
And Benny, that's how I found out about you, is through Mike, and he really talks both of you up. He really does.
He's a good dude. Mike's a good dude.
Hey, look, Mike's a good friend of our show, so really? whoever he recommends, more than welcome to come in.
We don't even vet him after that. He's like, yeah, that's good. Before we get into anything, we take a question from our audience every week. This week's question comes from Helen. When you want to quit, what do you do, or what do you say to yourself to get over that moment? Butch, you're our guest today. Let's start with you.
First of all, good question by Helen. In my case, when I want to quit, I look at my wife.
She's your rock?
My family and stuff.
Yeah. Sometimes at the end of the day, your family is the rock which you break yourself on.
Yeah. 100%.
And if you don't have that strong foundation at home, the rest of your life doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Benny, what do you think?
My why.
Your what?
My why.
Your why.
My why.
What's your why?
Family, generations, breaking chains.
Breaking chains. I like that. Breaking the chains of anything in particular?
Yeah, the old poverty, the old way of thinking. Readjusting to the new world.
It's like getting off the street.
Getting off the street.
Well, I know you're into some really big things now, so.
Yeah.
So it's a good move forward, and it's got to be setting a hell of an example for your children.
Well, it comes from inside, man. I believe in God, and I fight hard, and I was taught by drug dealers and killers, so I don't do that no more.
That's good. So that's what our show's all about. It's overcoming those hardships that you were thrust into. You didn't really have a choice, I'm sure, when you were younger.
No choice.
You looked up to it. You were around it all the time, and I know it was very prevalent in Hoboken at one point in time. Not so much now. I guess it is still there now.
But I was lucky. I looked up to guys like him.
Yeah.
He's older than I am, and he always set he was always a good role model. He was always into the fighting. He was always with his family.
It's nice that you point out that he's older than you. I appreciate that. Mike,
how old are you?
I'm 53.
Yes.
You guys are older than me.
56. I'm the oldest guy in the room again.
I'm still the kid in the room. I'm only 25.
Yeah.
Mike, what do you think? When you want to quit, what do you tell yourself?
You really just have to push through. There was a quote that I heard that said, when something bad happens, 3 things could happen to you. It could either define you, destroy you, or strengthen you. And that's it. If something bad's going to happen, you're going to let it destroy you, or if you're going to take on that personality, or you power through it and it strengthens you. One of the other quotes I heard, which was pretty funny, is like, when you're going through a rough time and you think everything sucks, just think to yourself, did I shit my pants today? And if the answer is no, then you're doing okay. You can keep moving on from there.
But most days for you, that's a
common occurrence.
Yeah.
I go through a lot of underwear.
I'm a big believer that winners never quit. That's what defines a winner. You know, and I'll bring it home to the boxing world. I think Teddy Atlas said about Mike Tyson, if you had to ask him what Mike Tyson's true record was, it was 0-5. Forget about all the other fights. This guy was so great and so talented that he just powered through everybody. But when he was met with that immovable force, somebody who was equal or maybe even a little bit better than him, he quit. So I take this on to a new level when I coach kids football. All right, so I've seen some really talented kids. And when that kid is met with an obstacle of somebody who is equal or better than them, they're going to do one of three things. They're going to quit, they're going to cheat, or they're going to rise above. Those who rise above, those are the ones who become winners.
Those elite. Those are the elite guys.
Those are the elite guys. That's what makes an average guy to an elite guy. We've seen this in football our whole lives. How many guys you've seen who were so good and never went anywhere because they never had that drive to take it further and overcome, and they just quit.
And if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Helen, thank you so much for sending that question in. We really do appreciate the questions. Keep sending them in, and we will try to get them on the air. So, Butch, this is a long time coming because we've heard about you now for, I'm going to say, a good part of a year and a half. And we've been trying to get in contact with you. We finally got you in the studio. I want you to tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
So you have some high standards to live up to now because De Palma blew you up, you know. So.
Oh, Mike's a good dude. Well, with me, I grew up in Hoboken. At a young age, my stepdad, who raised us, took us all to a boxing gym. It was 4 boys, and
what gym was it?
A Mile Square Gym in Hoboken on 1st and Grand Street.
Yeah,
that was like 1979, 78.
That's because Hoboken is a mile square, right? So they named it Mile Square Gym.
It was named Mile Square Gym. And from there, I took a taking to, I used to love to motivate people. So I started training little guys, and I started motivating them and stuff like that. And then the owner of the gym, who has money, he then years later started signing pro fighters and gave them to me and my partner to train. And that's how we started our training the pro fighters. And it just started escalating where we had a great run for many years and won many titles and traveled all over the world. And
was it a good relationship with your father?
My stepdad, it was a great relationship with him. Unfortunately, he committed suicide because he lost a lot of money. He was a big-time businessman in Hoboken, and he lost a lot of money and committed suicide.
Oh, that's a shame.
But he taught us everything.
You know, it's that father-son bond, whether it's a stepdad, whether it's an adopted parent,
there's no
uncle.
such thing as a stepdad.
Yeah, it's just a dad.
A father's a father.
A father's the one who raises you.
Correct.
It's not blood.
Yeah.
So I tell people that they should eliminate that.
Yeah, well, it takes,
Well, I'm sure you never considered him your stepdad.
Never.
Yeah.
It's very easy to be a dad. It's very easy to be a dad.
And my real dad's alive.
Anybody can be a dad.
I have no relationship with him.
But it takes a real man to be a father. It takes a real man. But that's how I bond with my children. And that's why I coach them, because it gives me the opportunity, not because I really
spend time with them.
I don't really want to overbear them. I grew up with something like that, having that overbearing father who did coach. I take it more as an opportunity to train them and to look inside them, to spend time with them, rather than be on the sidelines. I'm actively involved.
That's beautiful.
And it gives you something to talk about too.
Right.
You know, you can go home and talk about the games.
Yeah.
You know, I was always involved.
That's a plus.
I was always involved in my kids' sports. My son and my daughter. I mean, I hated soccer my whole life. Her first year she played soccer.
Oh.
I was one of those idiot soccer coaches. I don't know the first thing about it.
That's the one thing. My youngest played soccer. I'm like, oh, come on.
I'll tell you, it's a tough
football.
sport.
You're a football guy.
I know nothing about soccer. But it's that special bond. But I think there's something to be said for, if you were to have all this boxing knowledge, all right, and you were to pass on without passing on this knowledge, I consider that a real wasted life in anything.
100%.
Your belief in God, Benny. It's, if you don't pass that knowledge on to somebody, it is really a wasted life, in my opinion. And it doesn't. You don't have to have children to pass it on. You pass it on to the next generation, so they can pass it on and they can pass it on. So I commend you for reaching out and starting with those little kids, because they're fun ones.
Oh wow, forget it. It's the future.
Well, you know,
gotta spend time
with kids, they'll sit there and listen. You know, you take someone like I was an instructor in the police academy, and you get those new recruits, they're going to listen to you. You know, you get those old grizzled veterans, and you're having an in-service class. You're like, shut up, kid. You know what time's lunch? You know, you take the kids at a young age and you mold them. And, you know, I mean that's really what it's all about.
Oh, you're an instructor. Wow, you did a lot of screaming then. Oh God,
I lost a lot of my hair from it too. You know?
So the first time you stepped in a gym, what was that feeling when you were a little kid?
I liked it because of all the noise. I remember hearing bang, 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 and the speed bag.
The speed bag is something you could never get out of.
And then people sweating and hitting the bag.
And you're talking 1978. It was prime time to step into a gym. You got
it was
Sylvester Stallone up on a big
smelly.
Because I was going to say the first thing had to be the smell.
Hot, right?
Yeah, very hot because no air conditioning.
There's no air conditioning in boxing
now
gyms.
It's central air. Now it's different. But back then, I remember going up the stairs and it was like.
That's like music to my eye. I used to love that sound.
Yeah, but then you would actually smell. You could smell the glove in your nose without getting hit. It was like that was my part because I ain't like getting hit. So I transitioned over to work in the corner, and I found out that I liked better being in the corner than getting hit.
Well, you work in a corner? What's your forte? Is it the mitts? Is it just overall training?
I was. If you go on to some of my, what I did was I supervised everybody. I had a mid guy, the best mid guy in the business, my partner Ping. I had another guy that I had work on speed, and then I would supervise everything. If I saw you just working on one thing, I would tell you, look, we got to change it up. You're being too repetitious. So I would supervise everything. If you look at the corner, we did a episode on Channel 4 called Corner to Corner, where they did a special on me, and they followed me around because I would just do everything, supervise all my guys. I had two other trainers. It was me and two other trainers, and I supervised both of them on whatever I wanted them to do. If you're not jabbing enough, I'll tell you, look, he's got to jab more. You know, he's got to step. He's being too straight up. Bring the chin down, lower the knees, this, that. So
it's too white.
Yeah, no, that's some tough white guys, man. That white, that's a myth. You got tough white guys, brother.
Well, that's when Cooney comes in here. I'm just going to break his chops about being a white guy. Maybe not too hard.
The white hope.
Maybe not too hard.
We had Stewie too. You met Stewie.
Stewie boxed?
Yeah, Stewie fought.
So I hear Stewie, and I know Stewie, but I hear he was a tough little bastard.
Tough.
Yeah, Stewie was tough.
Yeah, I guess
my brother gave him the biggest beating of his life. My older brother. Yeah, he tells everybody that.
What do you do? Catch him doing something wrong?
In the street or in the ring?
No, in the street.
Yeah.
They were at the time they were doing that angel dust and all that crazy stuff.
Yeah, you know, they sort of go awry. But, you know, in the inner cities, especially in the inner cities, you have youth that flock to these gyms. And I used to do some stuff with East Orange Pal. And sure enough, you know, some of the kids that were in there, they were on the border of getting into some bad stuff. One night I'm on patrol when I was working, and they were stealing something, and I see one of the kids running. I'm like, yep, that's Tariq. I knew exactly who it was, and I caught him. And I said, what do you think Coach Bilal is going to say to you? What do you think? He's going to beat my ass. That's exactly what he said to me. He's going to beat my ass. I said, he got you into boxing to get you out of this garbage. You know, and thankfully we were able to get the kid help. And last I checked, the kid's on the straight and narrow. But that's what boxing does. It's a great place for people to go in, especially in the inner city, to work out their aggressions and to move, to exercise, to realize that it's not about fighting. It's about science.
Discipline.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's all about aggression release and discipline. You can't be a good boxer unless you're disciplined.
Discipline. Believe me, we used to get all these muscle heads come out of prison, and they were like live meat, bro, for us, because they didn't know how to fight. We knew how to fight. You know, they were just wild goose. We used to fuck all them niggas up there. You used to come out like that, and we used to be like, "Yo, I want to go in there.
I want him,"
because they didn't know how to fight. They were just big. Yeah. So they were live meat for us, man. I was like,
but hopefully you taught them a good lesson, because there's a huge difference between street fighting and boxing.
yeah, of course.
Like I said, some of the toughest people I've ever seen are the small guys that know how to fight.
that know how to fight.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
And usually,
I've seen him beat the shit out of some bigger guys. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
the hell
usually
that happened?
a guy that knows how to fight is the most genuine person you're going to meet, the most respectful person. When you know what you know, you don't need to be a loudmouth or nothing.
Because
you could be the most polite guy in the world.
And I found that across mixed martial arts, boxing,
Yeah, MMA, all that, yeah.
any type of combat sport, they are normally the calmest people in the world, and they are very rarely if Mike didn't try to screw me up always on my opening, you would have heard my opening, and they're very rarely the aggressors. They are the warriors in a garden.
It's crazy, but
rather
it's like
than
that.
rather than a gardener in a war.
They're confident.
Yeah, they're
They're
confident.
confident.
Because they know at any time.
They know. They know.
Because it's the guy
unleash.
with the big mouth that tries to prove himself.
Yeah.
You know, he's always
Guys,
like shooting a fucking
yeah,
yap.
you go
and,
somewhere,
He's not
and
confident.
this
Yeah,
guy's
exactly,
yelling,
exactly.
he's got his pants halfway down, and you're like, yo, man, you don't know, man, I'll break your neck in a second.
What about so you got the dog on your T-shirt. The
It's my
dog
boy.
that barks the loudest is rarely going to bite. It's the one that's quiet.
The one that gun's going to come in and just snatch you.
Oh yeah, yeah. But that's what it teaches. It teaches young kids who maybe don't have that structure at home. You know, then that happens.
A lot of them don't.
Frequently in the inner cities because
inner city.
maybe they don't have a father, or their home life's a little jacked up, or they don't have a lot of money,
Yeah.
and they don't know how. They were never taught properly how to deal with their emotions. So you bring them in a boxing gym, and it's like, no, bro, you got to keep it
Release
under
all
control.
that stress.
You teach them how to channel.
Yeah, you got to keep it under control.
or they don't have the self-esteem also. Now, once they see that, you know, what they could do in a, you know,
Or you,
hitting a heavy bag.
or you thought you were a bad boy, and now you figure out you're not.
Yeah.
Well, it's a
Well,
humble.
Mike
You're humbled, you're
Tyson.
humbled.
Oh, who's it? Mike Tyson said it. He goes, everybody's a tough guy till they get
Till they
punched right in the
punch
fucking
in the
mouth.
Everybody has a plan. Yeah, he's right.
So
right.
I bring my youngest kids, both my kids into Ed Leahy, who knows you.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
good
so-
guy from Dover.
So yeah, but he also runs the PAL in my town. So I bring my kids there.
He's in Dover, no?
He is, but he also has one in he runs the PAL in Parsippany, New Jersey. So I bring my kids over there, and my son always, you know, he's always into boxing and stuff, and I said, son, it's a humbling experience when you get knocked down. I always thought I was a pretty tough guy, but when I'm thinking I'm leaning up against a wall and that's the canvas on my face, it's a humbling experience. You think you're tough.
You bring you right down.
Oh yeah, but isn't that the truth though? We all need to be humbled from time to time.
Yeah, it happens to all of us.
Yeah. How humbling was it for? And I hate to keep harping on Mike Tyson, but how humbling was it for him to get knocked out by Buster Douglas?
Yeah.
He was an unbeatable champ.
Yeah, and once he lost,
That was it. He was
He was
beatable.
never the same
nobody
again.
was that scared of him anymore.
Well, you had that with Roy Jones Jr. So Roy Jones Jr. got a little older, and
Pound for pound.
and he got just a hair slower. And then once somebody beat him,
Tava,
yeah, once
Antoine Tava.
oh, that's right, I forgot about
Tava,
that. Yeah, so once he got beat, then it fell.
Tava wasn't scared of him. You remember in the middle of the ring?
Yeah.
Tava said, "What are you gonna do
What
now?"
are you gonna do?
Yeah.
But you've raised some
Well, even Roberto Duran back then.
Oh, that's my boy.
That's his boy.
That's my
Yeah.
good friend.
That's yeah.
I mean, he was,
Roberto's one of
Hands
the
of
best.
stone.
hands of stone. What they call it, monos.
Mano de
Piedra.
Piedra. Yeah. Roberto was a bad boy.
He was tough.
The one that lacked humility, in my opinion, is Oscar De La Hoya. So he had a fight against Forrest,
Oh, Vernon.
Vernon Forrest,
Forrest.
which I thought was one of the
Rest
best
in peace.
fights. Did Vernon Forrest die?
Yeah, he passed.
Yeah, they shot
They
him.
killed him in a gas station.
Oh no, that was one of the best fights I ever seen Oscar De La Hoya fight, and both sides. It was a great fight, and I remember afterwards, rather than give Forrest a little bit of props and say, "Hey, listen, that was a great fight," they asked him, "Would you do a number two?" And he goes, "Nah, I think my fans want to see more exciting fights." I'm like, "What are you talking about? This guy just
You wanted to stay away.
That was his way out of it. That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I ain't going in there. I ain't going in there with him again.
but that's what happens, you know, and you know, he's got his own thing going now, but I never liked that, and it never sat right with me because he
Yeah.
lacked that humility.
No, that was him running away from the next one.
Yeah, you know, and I
Exactly.
that's why I was always a big fan of George Foreman, because he had
Big George.
Well, especially as he got older, he
Good guy.
became humble. Yeah, I saw him in an elevator once.
He made tons of. Oh, you see how big his hands are?
He's got the biggest hands I ever seen on a human being.
He shook my hand.
Yeah,
They're
for real,
like
that.
He was like a circus freak.
And you know, and
Got
it's
big
funny,
hands.
the way he punched as he got older, he just like leaned into you. And that big fucking
sledgehammer,
hand, he was
yeah.
knocking people all. It didn't even look like he hit someone hard.
Well, he came back
All
in
of a
his
sudden,
40s and took
Ask
the belt.
Jerry, when you get Jerry, ask Jerry if he hits hard.
Yeah, Jerry.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well,
He knocked Jerry out.
I listen. I saw him in his George Foreman grill days when he was commentating, and he was a very, very nice, very sweetheart of a man.
Oh,
I wanted to
real nice
pinch.
guy.
I wanted to pinch his cheeks. I mean, it was just adorable.
He's made a ton of money with that.
Yeah, that's
grill.
good for him. Good for him because I know boxers as they get older. And I know Jerry was running that FIST program to help retired boxers because I know they tend to get taken advantage of by their upper management.
Holyfield's one of them.
Yeah. Well, King World Productions.
Almost broke.
Yeah.
Yeah, by King World Productions or something like that.
Well, he got into a lot of investments. They took advantage of him, and he lost all his money. He had to sell the house he made for his family when he fought Mike Tyson. Remember that big house he made? That was generational. Like,
Yeah, that was Joe Frazier had that same thing with Cloverlay. So Cloverlay was the first corporate boxer, I guess you would call it, where you had investments behind them. And Cloverlay really just picked the money, and by the time he died, he was pretty broke.
Yeah.
He was running that gym in Philly.
But I mean, unless you're not a big name boxer, you don't make that much money, right?
Exactly.
You know, I mean, you see these guys like Mike Tyson was making $22 million a fight because that's
Not
Mike
everybody.
Tyson.
It's only the top.
And now the guys on the undercard are probably walking out of there with $5,000. You know,
1,500.
getting their brains beat in. You know,
But how much has MMA taken away from the sport of
Nothing.
boxing? Nothing.
No, our fan base is totally different.
Yeah,
And boxers make way more money than MMA guys.
yeah. They always
And
have.
MMA is it's a tough sport.
Yeah, you know,
Because
it's in and out with MMA.
Yeah, but see, with them, one fight could end your career. You know, you get decapitated here and this and that, and that's it. It's over.
It's a different mindset, but I know a lot of boxers try to make the transition because right now, I'm going to say right now,
True.
the limelight is on them. So, are you still seeing the same influx of boxers coming into the gym?
Yeah, you know, boxing right now again, it's on a high.
Yeah,
It's on a high, and
I miss the days of those big card events. I love them.
they're all now in Vegas, Atlantic City. Since it's a rundown city, you know, the big promoters don't want to do
and
nothing
Gotti's
there.
gone since Gotti left. God bless him, man.
Yeah, so it's a tough sport.
Arturo Thunder Gotti.
Yeah.
But you've raised some big boxers.
Yeah, I had Andrew Sixhead Lewis. I had Hector Aceto Sanchez. I had Carlos Tamara. Now the Cuban, Yordenis Ugas, who's done good things. We just lost. We unified the titles at the AT&T Stadium with Earl Spence, and we lost. But that was a huge event with the owner of the Cowboys, Jerry Jones.
Jones.
Yeah, he greeted us over there. They treated us really nice because it was over 40,000 fans.
But they beat Pacquiao to get that fight.
Yeah,
so they
we beat
retired.
Manny
They
in
retired
August.
They
Pacquiao,
retired.
right?
Pacquiao. Yeah, he retired.
Yeah, we beat Manny in August, which is that belt.
Right.
And then we became the super champion. And then we unified with Earl.
Which is a huge thing in the boxing world.
Pay-per-view, huge.
Yeah, just to
Yeah, one of the
unify it.
biggest fights of the
Biggest
year.
fights, yeah.
It was our fight.
What's coming up? What's coming up next? You got anybody in the pipeline?
We're talking about fighting Keith Thurman, and that's a good money fight. I would like him to do 2 or 3 more fights and then retire. He's made a couple $1 million, so you know, boxing is tough.
So, as a trainer, you become really emotionally invested in your fighters.
They're your sons, man.
That's his son.
So when you see them in there and they're taking a beating, like you know they're taking a beating.
I cried, bro.
What's it feel like? That's what I want to
I
know.
cry. I still cry like a baby because just because you don't want to see him, like I'm with him all the time. He becomes like my little brother. My fighters are 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. They're with me. So now you got your eye closed.
And they want to please you like a little brother would want to please a big brother.
It's like this fight with Ugas, I wanted to stop the fight in the 8th round. He wanted to keep going, and then the doctor stopped it. If you see the fight, his eye was closed shut. He couldn't see.
You know, I never understood that watching boxing, like how like a guy's mother and his wife is in the crowd. You know,
It's tough.
and
then you
to
know what?
see
The
him up
next
there
day-
getting his ass beat,
The
I'd
next
be like,
day, bro. The next day. Because you got to understand, right now, you just finished fighting. Your eyes closed, your nose is busted, your jaw's hurting. Imagine you to go to sleep that night,
You're not. You're probably not.
and you continue to swell. The next day, you look like Martin Lawrence. No, seriously. I mean, and everything hurts. I remember a fighter, Hector, he couldn't lay his head down. And he called me, Coach, everything hurt. I can't even lay my head down or go to sleep. Everything was hurting.
Well, that was one of the biggest scenes in the movie Creed. All right, so Creed's talking to his, I guess it's his stepmother, and I guess it would be his stepmother, and he wants to get involved in boxing. She doesn't want him because obviously she lost her husband, but he says, you weren't there when I had to lift your father off the toilet seat after a fight and put him to bed and wipe his ass and do all that stuff. And nobody was there to see that stuff. Yeah, you saw him on TV and he was Apollo Creed and he was all great and everything, but you didn't see this stuff afterwards. And that always stuck with me. That one scene always
100%.
stuck with me. Because, the day after is always, that's when the pain really is. Especially if you lost.
People don't see that.
Especially if you lost. Then it's equal.
Oh.
Because then your ego's
Those
hurt.
were the longest flights, bro.
Well,
when you win, you want everybody to see you. When you lose, those are the longest
But see,
flights.
now that's another thing. Like, do you fly out the night of the fight?
We fly the next day in the morning.
gonna say,
first
so-
thing out, we want to leave.
So,
win or lose.
You
We did a lot more. I've been blessed. I thank God. We did a lot more winning than losing. Yeah. But when you lose, man, it's a long
gotta
flight,
sit
man.
on that plane, man. That's gotta be rough. I mean,
then for me,
your head
I'm
hurts
used
you.
to winning. Like, it hits me more as the days go on, man. It bothers
And
me, man.
you replay it in your head?
Yeah, I'll be like, my wife is like, babe, already stop. I'm like, fuck, man, we lost. Not that I'm a sole loser, because I'm the first one to go and congratulate you. Mm-hmm. I can't stand a sole loser, bro. If you lose, the better man won. That's it.
Well, that's part of sports in general. You got to learn how to lose.
I teach that even with the little guys. When a little guy cries, that parent should take him to the winner. Talk to him. It's okay to lose, bro.
There has never been one
72 Dolphins were the only team to win every game. That's it. That's it. Everybody else lost.
There is no
perfect.
athlete in history that can say they went from start to finish without losing.
Yeah. Only Mayweather, but.
Well, yeah.
Sure, he lost a couple amateur fights here and there.
Oh, I thought Jose Luis Castillo beat him.
That was a good fight.
So but Mayweather did lose in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Close one. They took it from him, though. They took it from him.
But he felt that. And that's the
That bothers him till today.
That changed him. That did something to him.
You got to feel that loss, and I teach that in the kids that I coach now. You got to be a good loser.
Very important.
Head up. You didn't. Did you play your hardest? If you played your hardest, there's nothing to be ashamed of. And
you're teaching them right.
But the boxers, what comes out of the if you're sitting on the plane, cameras are off, nobody's around. What's coming out of the boxer's mouth?
What he could have did to win. And they turned to me, and the first thing I say, look, the better man won. Now, you could have jabbed.
Today. The better man today won, yeah.
You could have jabbed. You could have used some more combinations. I was telling you what to do, and you wouldn't listen. Some fighters, because the fight gets hard, they shut down. As you know in sports, when you guys got a tight football game, sometimes they're not listening to the plays because the game is so tight. They're worried about how tight the game is. So you got to always listen. A good fighter, a good athlete is an athlete that listens to their coach. You know, I could be the best coach in the world, but if you don't listen to me, it doesn't matter. I tell people if it was easy, anybody could do it. So in order for you to be better than that other person, you got to work harder. You got to listen. You got to do
hard work beats talent, especially when talent doesn't work hard.
Every day. Every day.
You know, and that's another thing. When they're in the ring, they're not seeing the big picture. You know, they're only seeing like what's in front of them. You being on the side, being the coach, you could see the whole picture.
We see it all.
Yeah.
We're the third eye.
Yeah.
We're the third eye, and remember, you're getting punched, bro. Now your eye swelled up. You got head butted. You got cut. That changes everything. That changes the way you're thinking as a fighter. So I put myself in my fighter's body because now I got cut. But that hurts. And then your eyes close.
And the blood
You're bleeding
dripping over
through your
eye.
nose. As a trainer, when you come back, I got to clean you out. I got to do this. And you're like, oh, I'm losing. Am I losing? Am I winning? It's nerve-wracking. You got 1 minute to make it all happen and get the hell out of there and go down.
For another 3 minutes, and then 1 minute, and then another 3 minutes.
It's like the race car drivers that change the tires.
Yeah, pit stop.
When you're in the corner with a especially at a high profile fight, you're in the corner. What are you saying to them? I mean, are you focusing on? I guess you got to try to keep them positive.
100%. You got to stay positive, even when it's not positive.
Yeah.
You got to stay, because I can't tell you, hey, John, you're fucking up. You're getting fucked up, man. I can't do that. I got to say, listen, the reason you're getting hit with that right hand is because you keep going to the right. Move to the left. What have we been practicing in the gym? Come on, you can do it, brother. Let's go.
Right.
You know, or I remember for a world title fight, I used Acero, I used his son. I said, your son is watching you right now. Do you want him for you to lose? And that woke him up. That was like that when I told him, your son is watching you get beat up, because you're getting beat up. That woke him up. That was the trick that did it, using his son.
But then with all of your fighters, there's an expiration date. There is a time to hang it up, and this is something when you fought. There's a point where you say, I'm done.
Yeah, that happened now with I got a real popular Peruvian fighter, Jonathan Marcelo, and real popular. The guy's the most famous guy in Peru, but he's 38 years old already, and now Top Rank was calling me to fight tough guys, because he still has a good record. I love him like a son, and I told him, I'm not gonna make money on your blood, bro. I invite you.
Then you're a vampire.
Yeah, he's got 3 restaurants. He's got 2 boxing gyms. So he's done good. I did good by him, because he made a little bit of money and he invested it. But I said, I'm making blood money from you. I love you too much. I can't do it.
Right.
I said, it's time to hang it up. And he cried, and he said, I could still do it, coach. I said, everybody could do it. Everybody could still do it.
You want to end up like Muhammad Ali,
one
not
of the
talking properly?
One of the things, and that's the point I'm leading up to, they call it like punch drunk. You know,
I see it all the time, bro.
You see,
they speech.
I mean, you
slurs.
talk to people playing football. Concussions are the big thing in football now. Boxers take more hits to the head than football players do.
Did you ever see
But
Jerry
there's never-
Quarry at the end of his life? Jerry Quarry. So
You
Jerry.
gotta see Terry Norris.
So Jerry Quarry fought Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
At the end of his life, Jerry Quarry couldn't even talk. It was
That's,
so sad.
Tommy Hearns.
Tommy Hearns. In all fairness, Tommy Hearns could never talk while he was boxing.
Yeah, but he's bad.
Vito Antuofermo.
Vito Antuofermo was a tough son of a gun.
I saw him. He goes to a restaurant that I go to in Bayonne every once in a while.
Oh, Bayonne.
And he
his
walks
son
in.
works at the dealership
Yeah.
at the Chrysler.
He walks in one day and says to the owner, he knows the owner, and they take care of him. He's like, hey, what am I having for lunch today? They said, Vito, you just had lunch. He said, oh, yeah. Turned around and walked out.
It's actually
gotta be
sad.
tough. I mean,
No, it's
they talk
actually-
about all the CTEs with football.
No, it's bad.
You know?
It's bad. And boxers don't have like a fun.
Yeah.
You see 90% of them are broke.
Well, in the NFL, they get they get all their health plans and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's different. We
Boxing,
don't
yeah.
have a league.
Yeah, exactly.
Boxing doesn't have a league.
You think that's ever going to change? Because they got to take care of these guys.
Teddy was trying to do something about that, but nothing's come about it. The promoters don't want it.
Of course, they lose money.
Yeah, exactly.
They lose
It's
money.
about money.
You know, you put a union.
You put a union in, yeah.
Put a union in. Put a union
They
aside.
don't want it.
But you know, are you going to be that first one to step up and say, "Yeah, I want a union"? Well, guess what? You're never getting signed to a contract. You're
Top
never
rank,
going to
top rank ain't calling you again after you
Bob
do that.
Arum will say, "Don't pick up that call."
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's a business. Bob Arum. Now you got PVC, Al Heyman. He's a big dog. And De La Hoya. There's very few promoters because boxing has changed a lot. Before it was Don King.
Right.
Yeah.
And Bob Arum has still been around, but a lot of the boxing has changed now.
You know, it's a sin because when it's time to hang up the gloves, you know, these guys have been fighting their whole lives. They're not college-educated
know what to
people.
do.
So what do you do? What do you do? You know, some of them will go into the training aspect, and they got a name, and they can bring a name into a gym
Very
or something.
few, though. Yeah, very few.
But other than that, they have to re-enter society where it's different. It's different in most pro sports. You know, even MMA fighters. They open up a school, they'll be fine. Pro boxers, what are they going to do? What are they going to do?
It's different, yeah. It's different.
Yeah, but like in law enforcement, we retire from law enforcement, we could get maybe a security job or you know a consultant job or something like that.
Oh,
in boxing, once your career's over, it's like, where do I go from
You
here?
got
What am I
cuts
going to be a
all
street
over.
fighter?
Yeah, you don't know how to talk. You can't talk right. They from my experience, a lot of the fighters are lost. When they can't fight anymore, then they're lost. So
You're taking away their identity.
Yeah, a lot of them become homeless. I saw the Verwet the other day. Guy that fought the ranch, Sugar Ray Leonard. He's out in the street, man.
That's my family.
Yeah, that's a sad thing.
Yeah.
Banging.
Well, you know,
Oh, man.
and that's the thing. You know, me and Kevin are both retired, and it was tough. Something that you put your whole life into, a career that you put your whole life into. Now your career's
It's not
over.
easy. Yeah, it's not
You know,
easy.
when your boxing career's over,
Yeah, you guys
What do you
always
do?
have an out, especially in law enforcement.
Well, we have a pension system set up.
Yeah,
you
you're
know,
educated, too.
which is why we chose our profession.
not Kevin so much.
No, not that
He's
much.
not that educated.
Not that much. But we have that in place because a long time ago, it wasn't so much. And in other states, it's not like it is in New Jersey. New Jersey is very fortunate where we have all those that system set up. At some point, boxing is going to have to change. You know, either it's going to be having to pay for health things down the line because
I think that's going to help it change.
it's got to, because if you were a brand new parent and your young son, 10-year-old son, I want to go box. What are you going to think? You're in boxing, so it's an unfair question.
Yeah.
But somebody
but
who's not.
It's not the out, man. I would tell them, listen, do it to get in shape and learn discipline and self-defense. But to try to make it a career, that's not the way to go.
I mean, how many boxers really do make it? You know,
Listen, I've had tons of fighters. This guy and another guy, 2 welterweights, have made the most money, a couple $1 million each. But that's out of tons of fighters I've had. Two. And then I've had other guys who've made $200,000 a fight and stuff. But like this guy is different. That's $5 million a fight. It's another, but that's rare.
yeah, exactly.
You don't.
But see, everybody sees
four-rounder, $1,500.
everybody sees the glory end of it. You know, like you said, all these big time guys making millions and millions of dollars. They don't see the other guys, like you said, getting their ass beat for $1,500.
People are always looking at the finish line with everything. And I'm sure at one point in your lives, you looked at the finish line and say, I'm going to be here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be like that guy. Like Benny, you say you grew up on the streets where you're admiring these people who are into some bad stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to be there. Well,
Benny was there.
yeah, Benny was
He
there.
changed his life. I'm proud of him.
But there's that progression in order to get either down the wrong rabbit hole or down the right rabbit hole. But you've spent your time in the boxing ring, but you got a worse fight going on now.
The fight of my life now.
You got the fight of your life. And why don't you let us in on what the new fight is?
Well, I about 4 years ago, I worked at the hospital for 35 years. I was security guard at the hospital in Hoboken. 4 years ago in the emergency room, I passed out. And then when they
You were in the right place.
I was in uniform. I was working. And when they rushed me in, they was like, oh my God, you're suffering from kidney failure. Your kidneys are at, they were like at 8%. So they took me to intensive care and they gave me blood, had to give me blood. My anemic level was 4.
Holy cow.
The doctor said, how the hell are you even standing up? It's amazing. But anyway, they rushed me to intensive care and they had to give me a couple bags of blood, and I was there a couple of weeks in intensive care. And right from there, they put the catheter in my heart, which I still have.
What do you got? The port?
Yeah,
Port,
the port.
yeah.
I got the port to do the dialysis. I had to do dialysis immediately because my blood was so bad that they were scared that I was going to have a massive heart attack.
So what is there any reason for this? Is it a genetic thing or is it
diabetes and hypertension? And excuse me, but my fat ass eating cheesecakes and see, I never did drugs in my life.
Let's just say diet.
Yeah, my diet was terrible. I never did drugs. I never smoked because, again, I wanted to be a role model to everybody that looked up to me. Mm-hmm. I thought you could do it without ever. I never even tried marijuana. Never, nothing, because I wanted to pride myself on that. To be able to say, I never smoked weed, never did no drugs, never ever. So I pride myself. That's my pride even to this day, that I'm 53 years old. So anyway, they rushed me to the intensive care. I was there a couple of weeks. They put me on dialysis immediately and chronic kidney disease. And you know what? People are like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Don't feel sorry for me. First of all, I did this to myself because of my bad eating habits.
Which is actually the worst thing because you can't get mad at anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, if it was
I did it to
genetic
myself.
or you did it to
The
yourself.
French crawlers and all the other crap I ate. But I tell people that in my position, I think I was put in this for a reason. Because I go to the dialysis center, I pick people up. They think I work there because I'm still strong. I pick people up. I take them out of the stretches. I put them in the wheelchairs. I wheel the lady in. And they're like, oh, you work here? I said, no, I'm a patient. And I help them because, again, I could. I'm strong. I'm one of the few guys I drive. I drive to the dialysis center in Hoboken. And I think I was put in this position to help people.
Everybody's put in a position for a reason. You know,
I believe you're right.
Maybe this was the reason that you were put there. You're showing these people strength to adversity.
Yeah.
You know, you're going through the same thing they are, and they're seeing how strong you are. So maybe that gives them some hope, and maybe it gives them some strength.
And you know what, Captain, Lieutenant, that helps me though.
Yeah.
Well, your attitude.
Me picking her up from that stretcher helps me because it shows me, hey, I can still pick her up.
You had every right to sit there and feel sorry for yourself and say, "Oh, I got a
I
bad
ain't got
break.
time for
I got
that,
a
bro.
bad break. I did this."
I've been blessed in life, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you guys, law enforcement, that I look up to cops. You guys were blessed to have a good career in what you like to do.
Yeah.
Obviously, you like police work. You like screaming at people. That's what you did. You were probably one of the best instructors around.
Motivators.
You was probably one of the best instructors, so you were good at what you guys did.
But as in the same vein as being a trainer, as being an instructor in anything, is if you yell and scream, and that person who you're yelling and screaming at doesn't understand that you love them, then they're not going to listen to you. No. It has to come from a place of love.
Your message is not going to get across.
Yeah, it has to come from a place of love. Yeah. Because otherwise it's just mean.
Also, like you said, though, in order to be that coach or that instructor, you have to practice what you preach. You know, you can't 100%. Just go out and tell a kid, you know, go do 50 push-ups. Yeah. Unless you can fucking do it yourself.
You got to know what you're talking about.
You know, you never smoked weed. You never did drugs. You're preaching to these kids, don't smoke weed, don't do drugs, you know, blah, blah.
Don't eat French crawlers now.
Yeah.
That's
now, if you left there and went and smoked
plant-based diet.
If you tell them not to do that and then you go out and smoke a joint, they'll say this guy's a fucking idiot.
He's a fraud.
He's very genuine. He's always been like that.
That's why he's so
this guy changed his life. This guy was a big time drug dealer, and he changed his life. He got shot. He did many years in prison. He came out and changed his life.
That's what we love.
And he's got a good story to tell.
So that's what our show's all about. Our show's all about is. Yeah. You now I'll bet you, Benny, and not to get off Butch, but I'll bet you appreciate life so much better, so much more
every day
because it was almost taken from you.
He was shot. I flatlined. He was dying.
You did?
I flatlined. I died. You know, he shot me and I walked away. I told him I'm hit. I got in my car and I drove off. I drove myself to the hospital. When I took my shirt off, the bullet fell out of the other side. It was a hollow tip. They couldn't save all of my stomach. My lungs collapsed. But I saved my life.
But now you speak to, and Butch, you're the same way. You 100%. speak to those younger kids. They're going to listen to you because you've been there.
We teach them from example because they look up to us. They look up to me for where I, been, and they look up to him because of where he's been and what he's going through. And then what we do is we buy nice cars and we take the kids and let them take pictures and we talk to them and. It's like I told you, I realized that I had the wrong role models, so I'm the right role model.
Well, you create the right role model by example.
By example.
I mean, you weren't born this way.
No.
You created this.
I created this. I made Benny love. Absolutely. Nobody made Benny love.
Absolutely. And
I made the decision. And this is only the beginning. And that's why I don't carry my father's name. That's why I started my own generation.
And that's why Butch Sanchez wasn't born Butch Sanchez. Butch Sanchez was made through hard work. And but the funny thing is you've done all these great things in your life. And what you're doing now, fighting this good fight and lifting other people up through your adversity, that's the good stuff. That's the good stuff.
It's like a give back.
Yeah.
I think it's like a give back. I don't like nobody, like I said, oh, sorry. I feel sorry for me. I lived a good life already.
It's showing them that there is good out there. You know, you could pick yourself
That's
up
good
off the
people,
streets.
man. There's a lot of good
You could pick
people.
yourself up off the streets, like you said.
It's
Benny,
possible.
when you were growing up, you had bad role models, so you tried to emulate them. Then you came that close to death, and you said, maybe these aren't the right people to emulate. You know, and now you start.
Yeah, I was already like making the change, but a friend of mine told me, "Don't think that they changed because you did." And that was the big mistake that I made. I stayed. After I was out, I stuck.
Yeah, you stayed with her for a little while.
I gave him the opportunity to kill me.
Holy cow.
Yeah, he got a story to tell, this kid.
Holy cow. We're going to have to talk about that on another episode, Benny. We're definitely going to have to talk about
This is
that.
the famous Benny Love.
Like
Everybody knows him.
Hey, listen, I love.
Unfortunately for me, right? But fortunately for the other ones that are learning. So
one quick Hoboken
Hey,
question.
but listen, your story is going to help someone else.
Yeah.
it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank God. Yeah.
I got a quick Hoboken question for both of you. You got Stuart Chirichella or you got Benny Love? Okay. Where you guys sit?
No, Stewie, let me tell you something about Stewie, man. I'm really proud of Stu because Stewie took another route. I never did drugs like him. I never smoked weed. I never drank. I owned a bar for 5 years, never had one drink. Stewie is probably stronger than I am because he faced that adversity and walked away. Now he's a role model.
See, that's how I know. And I'm gonna have to break Stewie's chops about this. Now I know
Stewie's
that you're
funny.
above Stewie. Your brand is above Stewie
Yeah,
just
yeah.
because of your humility, and it's a wonderful thing. Humility is
Thank you.
humility is the most admirable trait in people.
He's changed, though. He wasn't like that.
I'm sure,
Yeah,
but
he's a different person.
you know,
You know, I
you're
used to kill what I ate.
oh.
Oh, we'll get into that in another episode.
It was a different world, you know. Like you had
Yeah.
to, that was it, you know.
It's dog eat dog world.
Yeah.
But
That's what I live.
But that's what's so great about you, Butch, is you've done all these great things in your career,
totally
and
blessed.
you're still humble and you're still
You
approachable.
You have to.
You know,
With
I hate
titles,
people
with
that
titles.
when they get a little bit thing, they like, those are the worst people, man. Listen, you should be, the easiest thing in this world, bro, is to be friendly. The easiest thing.
When we go out, I'm always telling everybody he's a Hall of Fame trainer. He never not once mentioned,
Nah.
but I want everybody to know because he's so humble that I'm like,
He
you don't
should
know who
know.
you're standing next to. This
know,
man is a Hall of Fame.
And I
man.
don't even think we
Not yet.
mentioned that.
not yet.
November 10th.
November 10th will be
November
official.
10th, at the Venetian. You guys should go.
yeah.
We have a New Jersey boxing Hall of Famer
Hall
in
of
our
Fame,
presence.
man.
So coming
That
November
is
10th, which is
Thursday night.
Coming up.
pretty close to when this show is going to air, and we kind of try to tried to time it that way
be nice.
to celebrate this amazing accomplishment.
Yeah.
You know how many people they fight their whole lives and they never get recognized for it, and you're getting
Yeah.
recognized for all the
Wow,
good
it's
work.
a
that you've
beautiful
done.
event. I sold over 100 tickets.
Yeah.
I sold the most. I sold over 10 tables.
Nice.
And the Venetian, if you guys been there, it's
I've
a
been
nice
there.
place.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's where my divorce
Yeah.
proceeding started.
we got to go. We should hit the Venetian up.
We should do
Just
that.
support.
Yeah,
support
yeah.
it. 'Cause
I
you
think
guys are-
we still have my tickets.
we
They're
have tickets coming,
$100.
yeah.
Comes with the food. Hoboken PD has a table.
Venetian is a top notch place.
Oh, and I got nominated by the president.
And Snooki
Oh, the
got
whole-
and Snooki got married there.
Oh yeah.
Oh, she did. Yeah.
It's a nice place. The Venetian is beautiful.
Kev, if we do go, we're going to have to bring our Hoboken dictionaries home.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to be around a whole bunch of
Hoboken,
It's gonna be a
yeah.
lot of. It's gonna be a lot of diss. You know,
We just
into
called me
that.
for another ticket today too, so you got somebody else
yeah?
from Hoboken coming. Yeah.
Oh, we'll get the
Yeah,
Palmer
there's
there.
a lot of people
That-
from Hoboken
yeah.
going.
Yeah, but
We gotta have
that
a-
could go wrong in so many ways, Mike.
He sold like 100 tickets and 95
I don't know.
of them,
If
95
Mike
of
the
them,
Palmer's going.
95 of them
Yeah,
are named
tell him,
Cumpy.
Get them go.
Yeah,
They got
all you gotta do is-
Vito. Vito
Gigante.
Gigante got ordered a table.
Vito Gigante. Well, I know Vinny the Chin
Yeah.
Gigante, but that's
Yeah.
A Hoboken detective.
Vinny Gigante. What? Mike has had that. I
Yeah,
know
Mike
that
probably
name.
brought him up.
Vito.
I know
Nice
Vito.
guy.
Vito.
Yeah.
His wife was Elizabeth that just retired, the lieutenant.
Yeah,
Falco.
Falco. It's just a great honor
Melissa.
to be.
Melissa.
And of course,
Falco, yeah.
you have your ring on now, but I imagine the ring that you get.
Oh man, I can't wait till that Hall of Fame ring comes in.
It's going to be like one of those.
Yeah, it's a lot bigger than this one. I have a bunch of these. I just don't wear them all. It just looks like
Look like brass knuckles.
yeah.
You
This is
get,
this is the IBF. I have the WBA. I have the WBC, and now obviously the Hall of Fame.
Hold that up to the camera so we can see that. So we can see that.
you
And we'll zoom in on it.
Now, you get one for every one of your guys that are
the
champions?
Yeah. Actually, the manager bought for the team.
Want to hold that up
So
to the camera.
everybody on your team gets a championship ring?
Gets a championship ring.
Does the boxer get a bigger one?
No,
Or everybody gets the same
they all
size?
get just our names. Like my name is on the side.
I didn't earn it. I can't wear it.
Yeah.
No, those things are earned.
Yeah.
But
it's a
you
prize
have
jewel.
so the closest I've ever come to a championship belt is I think I held Chief Jay Strongbow's WWF championship belt. His brother lives in Ironia, New Jersey. But this is an amazing thing. I've been watching boxing my whole life.
Wow.
My grandfather boxed in the Army and he sparred with Joe Louis. Okay.
One of the best.
Yes.
And what he told me was, he goes, I was pretty fast. He was a much thinner guy than I am. He goes, I was pretty fast. I threw a punch. Joe Louis smacked me on the ass. That's what he told me. Because Joe Louis used to go down doing USO boxing tours,
Wow.
and they would
Joe
always look
Louis
for.
He was a beast.
He was incredible. It was a big thing for him but after one round, I knew that it was not for me, like to box Joe Louis. Like I thought I was Mr. Big Shit, and it's not.
Find
the
out
case.
quick, right?
Yeah, you find out real quick. But
The amazing thing is the weight of that belt. I mean, I couldn't believe.
It's heavy.
And like I said to you before, a guy goes in and he fights his 12-round fight and he wins by decision,
yeah.
gets a champion. Now he's got to lift that damn thing.
It's funny you
Holy
say that
Christ.
because for the Pacquiao fight, I was holding it and I got tired. My shits were tightening up, and I was like, so what I did was I put it here. Yeah,
Throw it over your. That's why they throw it all over their shoulders.
Yeah, plus you got so many people yelling and screaming. We fought at the T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. It was sold out, but when we fought in Germany one time, you get 50,000 people, man, and they're booing because you're from America.
Yeah.
It's those fights are tough, man.
Well, going back to boxing, you have warriors that were in the ring together. And getting back to Joe Louis, I know Joe Louis was down and out later in his life. And Max Schmeling, who's one of his... so that was one of the biggest fights, Joe Louis versus Max Schmeling. Yeah. And Max Schmeling actually gave Joe Louis money because Max Schmeling invested in Coca-Cola. So he had money. He had money. So he gave Joe Louis some money, and I think he paid for Joe Louis's funeral, if I'm not mistaken.
I think he did.
Nice.
You have ex-warriors meeting on the battlefield after the war is over. Do you notice that in boxing a lot? Coming together after the fight?
Yeah, look at Sugar Ray Leonard and Roberto Duran, great friends.
Yeah.
They had some tough rivalries.
That was the No Mas fight, wasn't it?
And I think Tyson and Holyfield actually.
You know what?
Yeah, you see Tyson and them, they did a commercial now. Oh, bite my ears. Yeah. They were joking around. But at the end of the day, you come together. Look at Canelo now with Triple G. They talk so much, and at the end they hugged.
Gotti Ward.
Yeah, you're battling, man. This is life and death. This is not WWE, brother.
Right.
Yeah.
This is real, man. You get punched in the face and the mouth by an 8-ounce glove.
Oh yeah,
it's got to be
different.
mutual respect.
Yeah.
These boxers both know how they got to that point.
You guys both are gladiators, man. At the end of the day.
To drive that point home is Mike and I are friends with a lot of true blue ex-criminals because the battle's over, so it's time to meet on
a different level.
Neutral territory. And because, believe it, and guess what? The funny thing is we find out that there's more that joins us than separates us. And it's an honest thing. And I consider those people some of my better friends in the world.
Wow, yeah. Probably somebody you put away. You locked up or something.
And it's always, like, I never have a problem approaching them. It's them having a problem approaching me, like, oh, you were a cop, you're not going to like me. I'm like, no, bro, I didn't take anything personally. And that gets back to the boxing ring.
Exactly.
You can't take it personally.
It's a business.
We had
They're both making money.
We had a job to do.
Yeah.
These boxers have a job to do. They have to go out there.
Whoever
and
doesn't
try to win.
understand that, man, they got the problem.
Like I said, it's got to be mutual respect between the boxers, though. They may hate each other.
And even with the trainers.
Yeah.
Even with the trainers.
I've seen some of those trainers go at it.
I'll come over and congratulate you. Hey, listen, man.
Unless you're
tonight.
Galatas trainers.
Oh, that was Al Cerdo.
Did you ever get into one of those weigh-in fights?
Wow, we had one in Vegas.
Go face to face and start punching.
No, it was going to be a riot, bro.
Oh, yeah?
With 6. All those Guyanese guys. Oh, my God.
They're hyped up. They're hyped up. So where can we find you, gentlemen? I know you're here to promote, and I don't want to throw this out. So the kidney awareness, and I know you guys are trying to get something.
Kidney,
going.
in my situation, I'm trying to get a kidney. So anybody who wants to get tested,
Please.
for me or anybody else, it's not just me. But again, I'm trying to get a kidney. So anybody who wants to get tested for a kidney,
Because you're the person that should get the kidney. Because look at what you're doing. You're going through this.
you know
pain.
what? I'm gonna get one.
And when he
you're
gets
go-
his kidney,
I'm gonna
he's going
get
to
one.
continue
I gotta
to
get
help.
one, yeah.
Right, because you're helping people. You have more to do.
I have to.
You're
I
not
have
done
to.
yet.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm not done. I'm only 53.
Your job ain't over yet.
I'm good.
have
I'm
a
just
lot
done.
more
I'm just done
rides.
with the French crawlers, man.
Yeah, but they're good though.
Yeah.
We got a lot more rides to take.
But
man.
nah, I'm
You
good.
know cops and donuts.
Yeah, I know.
We're good.
No, check this out. I used to park my car at the airport, and my brother's like, "Hey, bro, make sure you get a dozen donuts." that was their thing. It was I had to drop off a dozen donuts at the headquarters.
Hey, whatever it takes. Bribes come in all fashions. In all fashions. And Benny, where can we find you?
As far as what Instagram goes,
Sure, you
or-
plug it. Well, give us your social media.
Benny Love Realty. Go postal with Benny Love Cars and Equity. Everything Benny Love.
Everything Benny loves.
Benny Love. And next year we're doing. I'm going to start. I already started working on it with my attorney, Frank Marciano from Hoboken.
Of course.
Of
Everybody's
course.
from Hoboken.
We got to use Frank. But the company's going to it's called Love, and with that I want to do starting with Butch. We're going to donate money to everything. So we're going to do hats and different things so that people can buy them. And then I want to make it a competition. So we'll do kidney versus everybody, right? So if it's autism or cancer or whatever it is, because everybody's battling something, right? PTSD, whatever it is, I'm going to let people compete. So if somebody wants to come and help us build a website, we're going to need the help. And you can compete. So this week, let's say we put $1,000 for kidney, but you put $900 for autism or whatever else it is. Somebody might want to be competitive and put another $200 to outdo the kidney.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we can donate the money and help people.
Great concept.
We don't need the money. We need the love.
When you get it going, you got to let us know.
Okay.
We'll plug the hell out of it.
All right.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
unfortunately, like it or not, gentlemen, you're here. So
you're part of our family.
We protect you like you're our own. And that's the
good.
truth.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah,
the
we want
truth.
people to come out. Butch is a great example, and I wanted to say before, not only that he's always been a role model, but you got to remember, Butch came from the fatherless Hoboken, who lost his relationship with his father, and then lost a man who taught him how to be a man, right? So that generation is not the Hoboken people see now. This is when they were giving properties away for $1 if you paid the taxes, not the property that you buy now, or you buy 25 by 100 and it's $1.5 million. There's a big difference.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So these people are good people too, but they're good parents. They're good role models. They're teaching their kids different. We had to learn from how we beat each other up when we were kids and sold drugs, and there was a lot of shootings and stabbings and all that other stuff. And Butch never got involved. Instead, he went in the gym and took people from that. Oh, you know how to fight? Come on, get in the ring. I'm gonna mold you to see if you can. And now it's your decision to go out there and be a multimillionaire or make a purse so that you can take care of your family.
It's a very admirable thing.
Yeah, no,
absolutely.
it's beautiful, man. It's beautiful.
And that's the thing about it. And like I said, we've met a lot of Hoboken people, like we said, between De Palma and Nicky Burke. And
They do take you in like
Stewie.
family, though. It's a very strange. We went to some
Hoboken's
backyard
different.
barbecue.
Hoboken's different.
Listen,
Yeah.
born
And they'll
in-
co-sign. Listen, anybody from Hoboken will co-sign everything we just said.
Yeah.
We never lie to anybody.
but people born and raised Hoboken, I mean, they're like this.
Yeah.
Always.
They
take it personal.
It's
But Hoboken, let's talk about
unbelievable.
Hoboken.
You know why I'm going to tell you? Hoboken's a square mile, right? And everybody is dealing with the same thing. Although you got different areas and different groups, right? But you're all suffering the same pain, but you're just not telling them.
Yeah.
You get it?
Isn't that
No,
the way of the
absolutely.
world? Everybody's suffering from
Yeah,
something.
but we understood it without telling you.
Yeah.
Hoboken, there was no color. Like, it was never you're white or you're black or you're Puerto Rican or it was always like, yo, let's hang out. Like, I never knew what racism was until I went to prison.
You're Hobokenese.
Then it was like they were segregating. Like, I get along with everybody, and they're like, no, you got to have Puerto Rican. No, fuck that. I'm not joining no gangs or those other shit. But it was Hoboken was just you're from Hoboken.
Well, I always say that I think racism is a learned behavior.
It is.
You take 2 white kids, 2 black kids, 2 Hispanic kids, and 2 Asian kids. You put them on a playground together. they're going to play all day.
No, you put them in Old Hoboken,
They don't know.
and they played. They played. There was no.
They don't know the difference
you're right.
until someone says, "Oh,
It's the adults that mess them
exactly."
up.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So
You put those kids on a playground together, they'll play all day.
All day without no discrimination.
None.
So, Butch, we're coming to the end of this thing. And I ask every guest the same question at the end. You've gone through the suffering of what you've learned in boxing from growing up to watching those around you, the damage that the streets do to those around you, to now your new fight with kidney disease. What do you think your suffering's taught you?
I think it's taught me to be a better man, a better human being. I thought I was okay, but it also teaches you the value of life. You value life more, and you count your blessings, man. Listen, I've been blessed. I mean, I can't cry over, like, I got sick. Nah, you keep moving. If you get sick and you go down, if I was to stay down on myself, I would feel worse. So I stay positive. I don't even act like I'm sick.
What's it?
Until I touched this and I realized I got a point.
It's not how many times you get knocked
not my
down.
tit either.
It's not how many times you get knocked down. It's how many times you get back up.
I don't think it made him a better man. I think he's always been a great man.
Yeah, I was just going to say that too. I was going to say, I don't
maybe
think
he values life a little different, but the beginning when he said that, I think he was still been the same Butch without that.
Listening to your story, I don't think there could be a better man. I think you are a
Thank you, I
great
appreciate
man.
it.
I really do. I mean, coming through.
I was
listen,
brought up. My mama did a
Great
good
mom,
job.
great mom, man. She's great.
I was born in Lily White, North Arlington. You know,
Oh, my brother, the cop lives in North Arlington.
we didn't have it.
He's on
They're neighbors.
6.
We
My
didn't
brother's
have,
on 6.
That's where I grew up, right on 6th Street. You know, we didn't have all that inner city stuff. You know,
Oh,
and
North Arlington, nice place.
but you know, I mean, coming what you went through and making yourself into what you are today, that's a great man right there.
yeah, but you know what? I owe everything to my mom because there's 4 boys, and I think we did okay for ourselves.
Yeah.
We were on welfare. Again, Port Authority cop. Me, a Hall of Fame trainer. My brother works for FedEx. We all did okay, I think.
You know, everybody thanks their mother. You watch any sporting event, and it's like, hey, thanks,
It's got to
Mom.
be mama.
The dad's got to start doing a better job.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
You
got
know,
to step
what
it
it
up.
is.
You gotta
Hey,
step it up.
dads take the kids to practice. They teach them how
Yeah.
to throw. They teach them how
That's
to
good.
catch.
That's great dads out there too.
There's some great
This
dads.
next generation, like these kids now, are going to start thanking their dads.
Yeah.
Before, dads weren't really.
There were workers, you know, and to their credit, it wasn't always that they were absent. They were trying to provide. They were trying to fill that traditional role. So, you know, hopefully in the future, you know, our kids are going to say, hey, you know what? My dad was pretty great. Thanks.
Yeah,
Dad.
Your kids are gonna
coming.
say that.
Yeah, your kids are going to. Yeah, your generation is coming out to
As
say
soon as they
that.
get over being a teenager, then maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Until they realize that their parents aren't always wrong.
Yeah, that takes a while.
But Benny, again, getting back to you too, you're a great man too for overcoming what you've gone through and becoming the man you are today. I mean, that is fantastic. It really is.
Thank you. I'm loving life, man. I'm loving life. I'm thanking God every day, and I hang out with this man every day, and
Plus,
a good
I'm
life.
living a dream, man. I'm living a dream.
hey Kev, I'm trying to be nice because they'll probably both kick the shit out of me. So I hope I didn't piss them off at all. So.
Thank
You
you.
guys are great, man.
Thank you, gentlemen, so much for coming in
Thank you
today.
for having us.
Listen, it was fun talking the old boxing stories, but it was even better to hear what you're going through now and how you're handling it, which
Thank
is
you.
amazing.
I appreciate it. I got a good foundation.
So that's going to do it for this episode of The Suffering Podcast, The Suffering of a Boxing Trainer with Butch Sanchez. And thank you for Benny Love for joining us. And let's think about all the stuff that we learned today. The fighting career is a very, very tough life. You're always in the right place at the right time. Adversity breeds heroes. Humility is the most beautiful trait, but most importantly, life is valuable. That's going to do it for this episode of The Suffering Podcast. Follow us on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. Follow Mike at Mike_Failace. Follow me at Real Kevin Donaldson. And, of course, follow The Suffering Podcast. If you like what we're putting out, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, ring the bell so you can get notified of all our new content. We're on a race to 5,000. And don't forget to check out Popple. Go to popple.com, put in TSP20 for a 20% discount. And that way you can get that nice digital business card. And we're going to see you on the next episode of The Suffering Podcast.